We'll also be live on social media, so we'll also have a few eyeballs there. I'm clicking live there.
Yes.
So I think 6:05 we can start.
Right, 3 minutes more. Thank you,
We
Mer.
can listen to Nasir Saab and he can introduce himself.
Nasir Saab, आप कहाँ के हैं? Please introduce yourself. Nahi. And Ilhan, thank you for being with us. Thank you for taking your time. This is very nice of you to come. We are wanting to listen to your the edu side of the technology.
Thank you so much, Ji. I'm honored to be here, and inshallah, I'll try my best to share a few insights, inshallah.
Lovely. Ilhan, do you have a presentation?
Yes, just making some final adjustments.
Right. So you'll come on after Faisal is done, after half an hour, and his Q&A is done. So Faisal, aap jab bhi 20-25 minutes into your talk, you can take questions, or would you like to take them in between?
Doesn't matter. In between is also okay.
Okay. So then aapka total time jo hai, that you should please wrap up at 6:40. So we can give the same time 40 minutes to Ilhan also then.
Perfect.
And that'll leave us 5 minutes for Kamran's wrap up.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. We have Yasir Waheed also coming in. Yasir Saab, Assalamualaikum. Assalamualaikum, Yasir. यासिर, आपको आवाज आ रही है हमारी?
अस्सलामुअलैकुम, बहुत थोड़ी सी आवाज आई है।
वालेकुम सलाम यासिर। हाँ, आपकी आवाज बिल्कुल साफ आ रही है। थैंक यू फॉर बीइंग विद अस। शुक्रिया। Okay.
So we are live on social as well, so I think we should start, Faisal.
Yes.
And I will meanwhile bring in any comments, questions from there as well.
Okay.
So we'll have 20 to 30 eyeballs there, inshallah. So let's get going.
Okay, I'll put on the recording in the meantime. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, my dear TRGians, whether you are eyeballs, as Umair calls them, on social media or with us on Zoom right now. Thank you very much. The Thursday Talks is a tradition we've been carrying on since over 25 years now. We have the great pleasure of having with us Faisal A. Hussain and Ilhan Chawla today. Fintech and Edutech, that's what these gentlemen belong to. These companies are two massive disruptions fueled by technology in the financial and educational domain. This is going to be an enriching talk, first by Faisal. So please have your questions ready. He's concerned with fintech, finance and technology. And after that, we will have Ilhan join us for the Edutech. Besides Corona, we've been attacked and overpowered by technology. We've all learned to adjust our lives and made the most of how to use technology to get our means and our ends to reach them. So we will learn more on collaboration and what it takes to do that. A quick introduction on Faisal, who is an accomplished and experienced finance professional and a senior executive with over 22 years of experience in financial and business planning, analysis and valuation, operations and strategic management. He's highly skilled in developing and creating strategies for businesses and has a track record of defining new business strategies, launching new business ventures, and delivering operational impact. Thank you, Faisal, for being with us, and over to you.
Assalamu alaikum, and thank you very much, Shini, for such a humble introduction from your side. And I thank TRG management also for having me on board today. And going forward, as my topic is today, the fintech misconceptions, actually. it is a general psyche of a human being that whenever there is an innovative product comes in the market, so there are always misconceptions comes in. And I believe that that is where the professionals who are involved in that particular business, it's their responsibility to address those misconceptions, try to eliminate those misconceptions from the people's mind, you know. When fintech was launched long time back in 2000, I'm talking about early 2000, at that point in time also that there were some misconceptions coming in, but there was issues that the regulators, the banks, the technology providers were not that geared up at that point in time as compared to today. And then definitely COVID-19 has actually forced us in today's world to go toward digitalization rather than having the conventional mode of doing any business, you know. So I'll start up with my discussion with the misconceptions, and I will take this opportunity and discuss the main 6 misconceptions which people have in fintech, which I actually come across on daily basis by the people, by the students, by startup entrepreneurs who keep asking me these questions. So I will take this opportunity and discuss the same 6 main points or misconceptions, which I believe is important to be addressed to our audiences. I'll start up with that number 1, that fintech is not going to last long, or again, it's an artificial bubble. I do not actually blame the people who say that, because we have seen some major failures in the time of .com. So maybe people have linking it with the same .com experience with the fintech also. Whereas my personal experience and professional experience is that fintech is here to stay. Fintech is going to be more innovative and technologically advanced in the coming years. And there is going to be a time when we all will be more focusing on the fintech related products rather than conventional products. So, I mean, this is a type of a psychological discomfort, I will say, and a reluctant mindset is present. And as we see that the developments are happening and innovative products are coming on daily basis, like, for example, there are many examples, as you very rightly said it about the education that I was surprised when I came to Pakistan and I saw my 5-year-old niece taking an online classes. I mean, literally, I was shocked. I mean, we were sitting up in there and we used to have meetings on Zoom. तो हम उसको एक tedious process समझते थे. But when I saw the 5-year-old child of KG class is taking online classes, so that was a moment of a laughter for me also. So this is what a small innovation which are coming in a way. Now we'll take an effective example of banks and financial institutions, you know, plus the telecom operators. Right? They are continuously striving to improve their services. They are constantly striving to improve their product line in line with the fintech and the technological advances which is there. So let me tell you the fear factor, the ecosystem actually of fintech is in such a way that each and every player will definitely have their own role and their own space to play, whether you are a service provider or you're a technology provider. So there is having to say that fintech is not going to last long. No, fintech is going to last long. Fintech is the future. It is up to us now how we cope up and how quickly we accept the change and work on it for the improvements, you know. Now, the second misconception, which I come across almost every other day again, is that the battle between banks and the fintech companies. This is another misconception which people are talking about, which is not true again from my perspective, unless and until the banks remain in the comfort zone and depend heavily on their conventional products. That's a different scenario. But we are seeing a difference here. Banks are aggressively moving towards improving their products. Like, for example, they are heavily investing on formalizing the AML policies. cybersecurity, and now we have even got the electronic KYC also. And for that, the latest example is of a Russian digital account. Like anyone sitting outside Pakistan can open the account with any bank in Pakistan. So it's called an electronic KYC. Earlier, Shini, you remember when you had to go and open an account, you have to physically go to the bank branch, you have to fill up those forms, the KYC, know your customer, but now electronically all these things are being done. So the banks are also getting geared up. Second example is of Jazz Cash and Easy Pesa. They are in the market. You just have to open an account, go to a shopkeeper, and your account is open. Right? So these are the innovations which are coming in. So, I mean, the essence here is that the banks and the fintech companies, they have to collaborate with each other. I give you an example of my professional experience. I've been fortunate enough that I have been associated with the exchange houses and telecom operators in Kuwait, Oman, and Qatar. And on various occasions when we used to see that a telecom operator is coming up with a remittance business. So initially we used to get a little bit of a fear factor. Oh, they are going to take up our business. But later on, it was realized that rather being a competition, if we collaborate with them, that is going to be a more win-win situation for both the entities. Because no doubt a telecom operator has got a huge subscriber base, but they lack the experience and the expertise of the remittance products. So there the role comes in of the exchange houses. They do not have a huge customer base, but they have the relevant experience and expertise to do it. So it is better to collaborate with each other, share the experience of each other, and launch a product which is again a win-win situation and beneficial for the end user. Before, you remember, like 3-4 years back, if you want to send money to some of your friend or to your family member who is outside Pakistan, you have to physically go to an exchange house or to the bank. But now slowly and gradually things are changing. Using the application, using the fintech technology, sitting at home, sitting at a swimming pool, sitting at a coffee shop, at your own convenience, you can remit those funds easily. So yes, it is a process. There are APIs which needs to be integrated with the correspondent banks and all. There is a big process behind it. It's not that easy also, but it is practical and possible. So this was the second misconception. So my end quote for this point is going to be that the banks and the fintech companies need to collaborate each other rather seeing each other as a competition. The third point is that fintech is not safe. See, I mean, fintech is not safe. Now we are seeing that artificial intelligence, cybersecurity are the best example to know that fintech is safe. Fintech companies, financial institutions, telecom operators, or whoever company which is involved in the fintech related products, they are heavily investing on these three processes: artificial intelligence and cybersecurity, because they don't want to any hackers to come and hack it, and the end user is affected at the end of the day. Plus, if you look at it, I mean, like from Pakistan perspective also, I'm seeing the regulator is very aggressively formulating the rules and the procedures and the regulations. And that regulations are kept in view to safeguard the interest of the end user, that is the customer, the employees, the organization, and definitely the investors. So this is saying that fintech is not safe. I will still have my views different on it, that fintech now, see, improvement is required on daily basis. You have to keep upgrading your systems. You have to be one step ahead of what you foresee is going to be coming after 10 days. The another point which I have again come across, that fintech will only reach the large markets. Talking about the large markets, since there is another concept, I will not reflect fintech. People have taken it as a fintech as a very big word or a technical word, like fintech professionals are sending rockets with NASA to the sky. It's not that. Fintech is similar, is simply an abbreviation of finance technology. Now, how technologically you can improve your finances. And there are many people whom I would like to make this clear. The main essence of fintech is purely to cater the unbanked population of a prospective country. Now, I'll give you a practical example of Pakistan. We are a population of around 230 million people, and out of them, only 30 million are the bank population. Now, a person who wants to do a little bit of a business, or he has a creative mind, sitting in a remote area of Pakistan, 10 years before, he was having a problem of the money transfer. Now, that made easy through various channels like Easy Paisa, Jazz Cash, and the banking channels. Telecom operators have given new products and all that. So that person is also not left isolated. He is in the market. If he has a good idea, good plan, good product, he can sell in Karachi. He can sell in Islamabad. He can sell in Lahore, sitting in the remote area. So this is what another misconception that it's going to take. It's going to penetrate in the larger markets also. So this is also not the case here. It's not only catering the larger markets of any respective country. I'll give you an example of another example. Well, it's now in trouble. And Financial. It's an investment arm of Alibaba in China. I mean, when that product was launched of Ant Financial, you won't believe it, they generated $3.78 billion within the first 6 months from the people who were the unbanked in China, who did not have the access to the banks. So this was a huge amount for them. And now that company has reached to around somewhere around, last year I was reading somewhere around $25 to $26 billion. But keeping in view that China is a huge country, Pakistan is not as huge as China is, but still we can penetrate and we can convince these people to come on board and to have the banking facilities. So having that concept that fintech is only for the larger markets, no, it's not. Fintech is purely for those people who does not have the access to the banks and the financial institutions. Maybe for lending purpose, maybe for deposit purpose, maybe for any other purpose or remittance purposes. Another misconception which we talk about almost again and again, that fintech is only about lending and paying out. No, again, fintech is aggressively being involved in the insurance now. And I know one company in Pakistan, one of a leading insurance company in Pakistan, is working very aggressively to have the fintech related products. So for that, it is convenient for the customers and their end users to get the insurance done by sitting just at home or using the application. So that is again not very true. That again, the digital wallets, overseas remittances, and hence and so forth. So this is again that it's only for paying out or paying in or for lending purposes. Yes, it is for lending purposes also, but that does not mean it is restricted and limited to the lending or the paying out. It has many other potential opportunities also, which they keep doing it. My last, which I come across again, that regulators are making the regulations as anti-fintech. Now, to an extent, I do agree to this point if we were having this session 5 to 6 years earlier. But now, sitting on the 25th of February 2021, I 100% disagree with this misconception. At that point, you see the regulator's perspective is not only to foster the fintech companies only. The regulator's prime objective is to safeguard the interest of the consumer. So unless and until the regulator is not very much convinced, they will definitely not allow you to go into or penetrate in the market. Now, at this point in time today, the regulator is aggressively, like I give you an example of Russian digital account. It's regulated by the regulator. Jazz Cash, Easy Paisa, and many other products are coming in the pipeline, which are being regulated by the regulator. And the regulator now is compelled to give the permissions to them because they have already formed a very prudent, transparent, and candid guidelines. That is again be in the interest of the organization, the consumer, and the economy as a whole. And I'll give you another example. Like 5 years back, when we were talking about Bitcoin. तो बिटकॉइन का एक जोक होता था, नहीं, बिटकॉइन इज अ बबल, बिटकॉइन इज अ बबल. Big firms like JP Morgan and Ernst and Young and many other companies, they were the one who were issuing reports on the Bitcoin that it's not favorable. Last year, JP Morgan have issued another report and saying that the investment in Bitcoin is safe. So the problem here is not the change of mind. The problem here is the change in the technology, how advanced you have gone. Is it safe now? Does it have the proper guidelines? Does it have got the proper streamlined processes applicable there? So this is what the thing is, that what is need to be guided in Pakistan. Now, these were the misconceptions. If there are any questions before I go to the national objectives and ecosystem of fintech, so otherwise I can go keep moving if there are some questions, and also I'm ready
Yes,
to.
we have Faisal. Thank you very much. I've got them all down. Yasser asked a question earlier, right in the beginning. Hi, Faisal. Just for info, what exactly do we consider fintech? Is it just payments online, or is there more to it? तो आपने बताया कि इसमें insurance भी है, digital wallets भी हैं, overseas remittances भी हैं. Anything else you'd like to have answer to this question?
नहीं, ये है ऑटोमोबाइल, अभी लैंडिंग के अंदर है. That's what I was saying, that this is the misconception. Now Yasser has got a very relevant point, क्योंकि ये एक misconception है पब्लिक के अंदर कि ये लैंडिंग और पे आउट की हद तक है. जैसे मैंने आपको बताया कि पाकिस्तान के अंदर एक इंश्योरेंस कंपनी है, they are working very aggressively for having an insurance product. तो ये इंश्योरेंस के अंदर भी आ रहा है स्लोली. इनका अभी इस चीज का माय वर्दी को पार्टिसिपेंट इल्हान इस चीज को अच्छे तरीके से एलैबोरेट करेंगे. मैं सिर्फ इसको बता रहा हूँ इन जनरल वे, एंड आई टेक दिस अपॉर्चुनिटी टू लर्न फ्रॉम हिम आल्सो. जैसे मैंने आपको शुरू में एग्जांपल दी कि वो मेरी बेटी जो मेरी नीस जो है 5 साल की, वो ऑनलाइन क्लासेस ले रही थी. दैट इज आल्सो पार्ट ऑफ इट. आप ये एग्जांपल लेना, देखिए जूम, बिफोर कोविड वी वर नॉट ऑन द जूम, किसी को पता नहीं था. But COVID forced us to use Zoom. Now, post-COVID, people have realized the fact that even there is COVID or no COVID, we can rely on Zoom. आप इस्लामाबाद में बैठी हुई हैं, मैं कराची में बैठा हूँ. हमारे audiences will be different part of the Pakistan or the world. They must be talking, listening to us. तो उसका एक impact जो है वो भी एक फिनटेक के अंदर ही जाता है. तो उनका यासिर का क्वेश्चन, टू कम बैक अगेन टू हिज क्वेश्चन, दैट यस, फिनटेक इज नॉट ओनली फॉर पेंडिंग एंड lending and payout related products. It's relevant for insurance companies and many other products also. And now let me tell you as a breaking news, it's not a breaking news, it's already in the market, that the Sharia related fintech is also coming. And 2 of the leading banks, Islamic banks in Pakistan and 4 globally, they are working on it. And the fintech related Islamic products are also coming out very soon. So, I mean, was the question, answer to Yasser's question. Mishini, I lost your voice actually.
Yes, sorry, I was on mute. Simil was asking about all the misconceptions, so I'm just typing them in. Simil, are you receiving that? Yes, misconception number 6. I'm also putting that in, that regulators. Yes, thank you so much. Okay, I've just put that in. Does anybody else have another question for Faisal, please? Salman, thank you for being here. Aisha, Nabila, very kind of you to join us. Anam, so nice of you. Yasmin, bahut shukriya. We have a fintech expert. Faisal, I have a question. How can it, as an ordinary person and as an ordinary citizen, how can I expedite but I can't even pay my credit card bill online. It's such a nuisance. I have to go to the bank every month to pay my credit card. Why can't you do something about that?
See, this is again aapka jo question. There are two questions to it. I will answer them one by one. One is for a layman. This is what I was about to talk about, is that our national objectives. Pehli cheez ye that the regulator, they have to come up with the clear guidelines, how this thing has to go and how this thing has to go on for the last 5 years, 10 years, short term, medium term, and long term plan. Second is the most of the human development. That is the critical part. Still, as on date, I have been an educationist also. I have taught and given lectures as a visiting faculty member to a couple of universities in Karachi. So unse meri abhi bhi discussions ho rahi hoti. None of the questions, none of the universities so far has still designed a dedicated fintech course, or you may call it like financial inclusion or literacy. One of them must be doing it, but this is the need of the hour. We need to bring our human development. We need to develop them, our upcoming generation rather, so that they can come up with these technology at the soonest. Third is the social development. Social development, definitely we need to educate our people. We need to educate them, and we have to mention and explain them the consumer behavior, that how the consumer behavior is changing now. Like I live in the outskirts of Karachi, and very funny, मैं कोई भी चीज़ बाहर लेने जाता नहीं हूँ. Whatever I need to buy is a bike available to me or the Kareem available to me, right? So this is the consumer. I mean, I give you another fair example of my home. I mean, like earlier in days, you used to go to the bank. सुबह उठ रहे हैं, आप तैयार हो रहे हैं और मेकअप करके खवातीन बाल बना के आप बैंक जा रहे हैं 5,000 रुपए निकलवाने के लिए या 10,000 रुपए डिपॉजिट करने के लिए. Raw, it's an online. You can do the online transfers. तो आपने क्रेडिट कार्ड की बात की. There are certain banks who are working on it. पाकिस्तान का, let me be very honest, मुझे इतना in depth पता नहीं है, but overseas में credit card payment is easily done online. I mean, मैं हमेशा अपने ऑनलाइन बैंकिंग को इस्तेमाल करते हुए अपनी क्रेडिट कार्ड की पेमेंट कराई है. बट आई एम श्योर दैट पाकिस्तान बैंक्स आर आल्सो एग्रेसिवली मूविंग, और डेफिनेटली इन द शॉर्ट, अभी अगर नहीं है तो इट्स नॉट गोइंग टू बी अ सरप्राइज टू मी दैट इन द शॉर्टर रन कि वो चीज भी पाकिस्तान में आ जाएगी.
Inshallah. Thank you. Kamran, you have a question for Faisal?
Yes, I do. Faisal, Assalamu alaikum. Wonderful talk. I was very encouraged by what you have stated, and I'm glad you took on the misconceptions as head on. So, अब मेरा सवाल ये आता है कि with the NICOP or NADRA, what is the collaboration? Because these new NICs that we see are coming with chips. Now,
Exactly.
Is there integration underway, and at what point would we, by using just one instrument, be able to transact in different forms and different ways and get rid of the multi-cards that we carry? I mean, what is the immediate future looking like with regards to...
You're talking about globally or for Pakistan?
For Pakistan.
Okay. For Pakistan, जो नया नाइकॉप की आप बात कर रहे हैं, जो आया है chip वाला, the best feature in it is that it carries all your information. ठीक है, इसीलिए वजह से बायोमेट्रिक कराया गया था. अब वो बायोमेट्रिक की भी आपको एट द लेटर स्टेज आपको जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी. अब आपका NIC with has a chip on it that is going to be carrying all your details. Now, जो मेरा एक दफा बात हो रही थी कोई 6-7 महीने पहले नादरा ऑफिशियल से, now your this NIC card will also be showing you how much debts do you have, what and later stage what is your credit history. तो इसके बाद जब आप क्रेडिट कार्ड के लिए अप्लाई करेंगे कहीं के ऊपर, तो उसके बाद वो आपको खुद बता देगा कि आपकी क्रेडिट हिस्ट्री क्या है, आपकी लेंडिंग कितनी है, आपकी बोरोइंग कितनी है, आपकी सारी उसके अंदर जो डिटेल्स हो रहा है वो चीज है. न्यूजीलैंड के अंदर, दिस इज द फर्स्ट कंट्री इन द वर्ल्ड व्हिच इज कमिंग अप विद इट, कि एक कार्ड होगा और banks will integrate their system to it. So right now having such a thick wallet, अपनी जेब के अंदर आप रखे फिर रहे होते हैं और उसमें जब आपको पेमेंट करनी पड़ती है, then you decide या बस कौन सा कार्ड निकाल के दूं. तो they are the first one who are coming up with just a single card. उसके बाद ये होगा कि that you will have to apply for that card from the regulator. The regulator will issue you that card. The regulator will automatically is online integrated with all the banks in New Zealand. And they will get informed that this person has got this card. Now it is up to you कि आप सारे banks की limit उसी card पर रख लें, क्योंकि when you swipe that card, the POS machine will ask you which limit do you want to use. उसमें आप कह सकते हैं I want to use ANZ Grenades or I want to use Standard Charter or I want to use any उसकी वजह से mark करनी है. So this is coming into it. And also the repayment भी उस कार्ड के ऊपर आप करा सकते हैं. The reason is that it is not going to be a credit card for you. It will also be linked to your bank account for your as a debit card.
Wow.
So then you can go to any ATM machine or rather sitting at home also, you can access और उसी में से उसी कार्ड को आप डेबिट करके आप किसी भी बैंक के कार्ड को पे भी कर सकते हैं. So the innovations are coming.
So a follow-up question to this, Faisal, is that, with convenience and extreme convenience, surely there must be some catch somewhere.
इसको कैच कहना, देखें कैच तो हर बिजनेस के अंदर है ना कामरान साहब. लेट्स बी फेयर. I mean, catch is everywhere in the business, right? At the end of the day, the motive is to make money.
Yes.
Right. तो उसके अंदर definitely service charges होंगे. शुरू में हो सकता है because they are paying you the convenience. So हो सकता है maybe I have not got that information from my peer who is in New Zealand या पाकिस्तान के अंदर भी. That अभी भी आप देख ले पाकिस्तान के अंदर जो charges online के हैं वो इतने नहीं है. Let me tell you one thing very honestly, that the online charges we are paying in Pakistan is much cheaper than the rest part of the world.
Okay.
I mean, very convenient and very, very अच्छे charges and discounted charges and because of the immense competition we have. Because as per our economy size, having too many banks is also not feasible. So हर bank जो वो competition में इस वक्त गया हुआ है, तो for that purpose they have to keep their charges at minimum. ठीक है. So that is why. So still the charges are the catch. इसके अंदर ऐसा कुछ नहीं. As long as the technologically वो अपने आप को geared up करें, cyber security के सारे अपने अंदर उन्होंने main frames और infrastructure built in हो, एक अच्छी human development हो. At the end of the day, कामरान साहब, you take my words. आप enjoy ही करेंगे और convenient ही आपको होगा.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Faisal. Thank you, Kamran. We have a comment here from Salman Qureshi saying, Faisal Saab, in fact, our Sharia-related fintechs are a step ahead than others in the region. Thank you, Salman, for informing us about that. And Yasir has another question. How is the State Bank of Pakistan supporting and regulating fintech? Is it an impediment or are they pushing it forward?
No, it's not an impediment. It is impediment. Let me tell you the ecosystem. My last topic was the ecosystem of the fintech. Then I'll just wrap it up. Shini, I'll be at your mercy then. देखिए इकोसिस्टम को समझने की जरूरत है यासिर. सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट चीज जो इसके अंदर है, और ये चीज एक सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट, अगर हमने ये समझ ली, हमारे सारे मिसकंसेप्शंस जो हैं they will no longer be in our minds when we are implementing them. सबसे पहला इसका पिलर्स इकोसिस्टम का फर्स्ट पिलर है गवर्नमेंट सपोर्ट. हाउ गवर्नमेंट इज सपोर्टिंग यू. इस वक्त पाकिस्तान में काफी दिनों के बाद आया हूं. आई एम सीइंग दैट द मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी एंड इंफॉर्मेशन टेक्नोलॉजी दे आर सपोर्टिंग. इसका सबसे बड़े एग्जांपल रोशन डिजिटल अकाउंट है, विच इज ये लॉन्ग टाइम अवेटेड प्रोडक्ट है. आप सोचिए पाकिस्तानी जो है बाहर कितने अरसे से हैं, लेकिन ये फर्स्ट टाइम उनको ये अपॉर्चुनिटी मिली है कि वो वहां से बैठ के अपना अकाउंट खुलवा सकते हैं. तो द गवर्नमेंट सपोर्ट इज देयर. प्रोग्रेसिव रेगुलेटर, सेकंड पिलर. State Bank of Pakistan is no doubt playing a role as a progressive regulator. They are supporting the startups. They are giving them the licenses. But at the end of the, as I said earlier, the regulator's responsibility is more likely to look into the best interest of the end user. तो अगर आपने उन सारे कॉर्नर्स को, उन सारे फिल इन द ब्लैंक्स को प्रॉपर्ली फिल इन किया हुआ है, आपकी सिक्योरिटी स्ट्रांग है, योर साइबर सिक्योरिटी इज गुड, योर AML कंप्लायंस इज गुड, योर KYC या KYC जो रेगुलेशंस हैं आपने उनको मीट किया हुआ है, तो वी हैव अ प्रोग्रेसिव रेगुलेटर एट दिस पॉइंट इन टाइम. थर्ड इज एक्सेस टू कैपिटल. बहुत से बच्चे मेरे पास ऐसे भी आए हैं, स्टार्टअप एंटरप्रेन्योर्स, जिनके पास ब्रिलियंट आइडियाज हैं. And I'll share with you that couple of weeks back, I was taking an interview of Dr. Huma Bakai from IBM, and she also concurred to it and consented to my thing that many students approach her also with a brilliant idea, but the problem is the capital. इस कैपिटल के अंदर प्रॉब्लम ये है कि पहली चीज तो ये, अनफॉर्चुनेटली हमारे यहाँ फैमिलीज जो वो सपोर्ट नहीं करती है. Family support क्यों नहीं करती? To take an example of myself, I mean, like if I go to my father और मैं उनसे बोलूं अब्बा मुझे कुछ पैसे चाहिए, I want to start a fintech, उनको नहीं पता fintech क्या है. वो कहेंगे पता नहीं तुम क्या बोंगी मार रहे हो मेरे पास आके यार, I mean, तुम डिबो दोगे मेरे पैसे. तो here access to capital, हमें जो गवर्नमेंट और रेगुलेटर को करना चाहिए कि बैंक्स को उनका एक कोटा जो है, जो लेंडिंग साइड का, एसेट साइड का, उससे उनको दे हैड टू डेडिकेट that this much of your portion has to go to the startups, facilitating the startups. Yeah, microfinance banks are doing a wonderful job in Pakistan at this point in time, लेकिन उनकी limitations है. लेकिन अगर ये जो कन्वेंशनल और इस्लामिक बैंक्स हैं, जो हमारे बड़े बैंक्स हैं, अगर स्टेट बैंक ऑफ पाकिस्तान इनके ऊपर ये दबाव डाले या इनको कन्विंस करे, रादर टू पुट इन राइट वर्ड, कि आप अपने लेंडिंग पोर्टफोलियो में से इतना परसेंट जो है आप स्टार्टअप्स के लिए आपने करना है, so that is going to give further foster to these startups. Access to the right talent. ये जैसे मैंने पहले भी बोला था कि आपका बिजनेस प्लान तो आप बना लेते हैं, but do you really have the expertise to run it? I have seen many failures in it also. कि आपने बिजनेस प्लान तो बना लिया, 4 दोस्त बैठे, उनमें से 2 के पास एक्सपर्टीज थी, सबने चारों ने बैठ के बना लिया, you implemented it. 2 जो थे, एक ऑस्ट्रेलिया चला गया, एक न्यूजीलैंड चला गया, now the 2 are left isolated and they were unable to do it. So that's a disaster. So we don't need to have that disaster, because if that disaster start coming in, that will make the investor worry. He will not come up with the open heart and open mind to invest further. So we need to avoid that. And we need a startup supporting community. हमें एक कम्युनिटी होनी चाहिए जिसमें मल्टीनेशनल कंपनीज हो, बिग कंपनीज हो, बैंक्स हो, जिनको चिप इन करना चाहिए, एक पूल ऑफ फंड्स होना चाहिए. नेशनल इंक्यूबेशन सेंटर्स के ऊपर बहुत ज्यादा काम कर रहा है, एंड अ वेरी वेरी फ्रूटफुल जॉब दे आर डूइंग इट. उसके अलावा 2-3 कंपनीज और हैं, वो भी कर रही हैं, बट स्टिल वी नीड अ बिगर पूल फॉर इट. अ बिगर पूल जहां पे एक वक्त में, और ये जो हमारी बड़ी कंपनीज हैं, इट इज देयर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी कि वो उन लोगों को अपने ऑफिस में जगह दे, स्टार्टअप्स को, उनको सीखने का मौका दें, उन पे इन्वेस्ट करें, एंड देन लेट देम फ्लाई एज हायर एज पॉसिबल. ये उनकी CSR एक्टिविटी को भी केटर करेगा, और साथ में उनकी जो एक स्टार्टअप्स को भी केटर करेगा. तो दे कैन हिट 2 birds with 1 stone. मैं उन लोगों को, मेरी जिससे ही बात होती है, मैं उनसे ही कहता हूँ कि यार यू गो, हम स्कूल को फंड कर रहे हैं, हम ये कर रहे हैं. मैंने कहा ओके, दैट इज वेरी गुड, लेकिन जितना आप ये करो उसका अगर आप 50% जो है इधर लगाओ, तो मेरे ख्याल से वो ज्यादा बेहतर होगा. I'm trying to convince, some are convinced, some are not. And the last is the financial inclusion and the literacy, that how we are going to educate our future generation, existing generation, that it's time to accept the change. And yes, fintech is the future. And again, as I'll say with my ending remarks, the earlier we'll accept it, the more comfortable we are.
Thank you, Faisal. Brilliant. I think that was a very powerful last message. और उससे पहले जो आपने बात की थी कि भाई ठीक है, अपना CSR एजुकेशन पे लगा रहे हैं, लेकिन 50% स्टार्टअप्स पे भी लगाएं, क्योंकि that is the economic generation of the country. Business and entrepreneurship is what will make us fly or put us back on the map, and education will happen automatically thereafter. So those priorities need to be shifted.
आपको मैं एक चीज बताऊं, जस्ट लास्ट स्टेटमेंट, आई एम सॉरी टू कीप वेटिंग यू। पाकिस्तान, इससे मैं सिर्फ ऑडियंस को बताना चाह रहा हूं कि हमारा पोटेंशियल कितना है। आपको पता है पाकिस्तान इज वन ऑफ दोस कंट्रीज जिसकी एवरेज एज मीडियन इज 23 years and 2/3 of our population is below 30. So
Yes.
we have got a fantastic young population. तो इसमें से जो बाद लोग एस्टैब्लिश हो चुके हैं उनका बनता है कि CSR एक्टिविटी में आप इन्वॉल्व हो, दैट इज वंडरफुल। लेकिन उसके बाद थोड़ा अपना दिल को और बड़ा करें और इनको अपने ऑफिसेस के अंदर, जो इतने बड़े बड़े ऑफिस हैं, थोड़ी सी जगह दें जहां के ऊपर इन पे इन्वेस्ट करें, इनके आइडियाज को सुने। अगर इनके आइडियाज के अंदर कुछ लूप होल्स हैं उनको फिल इन करें विद योर एक्सपीरियंस एंड एक्सपर्टीज। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
बेशक बेशक, बहुत फैसल, बहुत शुक्रिया, बड़ा मजा आया सुन के, आंखें खुल गई फिनटेक के बारे में। आई एम श्योर just the first preface of the knowledge that you have, and we hope to have you back sometime soon. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Over to Ilhan Chawla. Ilhan को मैं जल्दी से introduce कर देती हूँ. Ilhan Chawla brings a dynamic, effective, and practical approach to designing and conducting workshops in leadership, team building, coaching, and employee engagement. He customizes workshops to the organization's culture and strengths, all the while focusing on specific areas that need improvement. By utilizing both 360-degree feedback and mini surveys to measure improvement, Ilhan makes executive and management coaching a natural extension of performance improvement. He is laser focused on the outcomes of what he offers, bringing about meaningful and effective change. So Edutech is what you are representing here, and we want to know what are the tech misconceptions that you have faced and what can you clarify in our minds. Over to you, Ilhan. Thank you.
Okay, sorry, my mic was on mute. So thank you so much, Shiri, for the humble introduction. And thanks to Faisal as well. Faisal, honestly, I knew very less about FinTech, although I represent EdTech, but I had almost all the misconceptions that you have mentioned, I had them. So it's good to hear from you, and obviously to learn from you in future as well. I'm looking forward to that. So I'll pick up exactly where Faisal left, and with his very powerful message that change is coming, and we have to accept change while moving forward, because if we don't accept change, we are just static, and once we are static and not moving around, obviously, then we cannot communicate. We cannot commute from A point to B point, because we ourselves, as per science, are result of evolution, of constant evolution and constant building. So that is what EdTech is all about. And today I am also going to represent 6 misconceptions that EdTech has, and not those misconceptions just. I will also be sharing my experience that I've gathered from last 7 years, that why so many businesses are not yet benefiting from organizational e-learning. What's the reason? So e-learning has been around for 20 years now, but you'll be amazed to see that how little it is being used in organizations for employee training and development, especially in our part of the world. E-learning doesn't always suit every learning and development situation, but in a world where employees expect career progression, opportunities, and ever more depending on the technology, organizations as their source of information. So businesses who are not using e-learning are severely falling behind. And I wanted to find out why so many organizations are yet to implement e-learning as part of their training and development strategy. And the answer to this is there are 6 main reasons of why organizations are not benefiting from e-learning. So I'll start off with the first one, which is the unrealized functionality of e-learning. Then the second is there is this cheap and easy perception around e-learning somehow. And then the third is lack of awareness of the benefits of e-learning. Then there is lack of e-content available. then not understanding our online learners, the people who are actually, who will be our learners, the target audience. And last but not the least, thinking that it is just for L&D team to worry about. Training is their domain. So e-learning, if they will bring e-learning in the organization, we will get to it. If they don't, then it's their worry. So starting off with the unrealized functionality of e-learning. So e-learning has a lot of potential, honestly, but organizations are failing to realize that that e-learning can do wonders to their existing learning and development strategies. Combined with conventional methodologies, with instructor-led trainings, e-learning can prove to be the real difference in a good team, in a better team, and in one of the best teams. So for majority of the people who got to try first attempts at e-learning and their experience was not that good, it has put them off. But it shouldn't, because e-learning now can be integrated with a lot of things. There are a lot of amazing things coming in, like online learning, online platform integrations with various platforms, the interactivity within the courses, then adding multiple videos, animations, so many things, because e-learning itself is in an evolving and learning phase. So this is one of the biggest misconceptions around, that we tried e-learning some time ago and it was just boring online video. We just had to look at the screen without doing anything. So e-learning itself is now changing with evolving tools, with evolving needs, and with overall learning of the industry. E-learning is proving to be much more interactive than it really was. So you can say goodbye to boring voice over PowerPoint slides and PDF files. Online learning is now converting to an experience. It is actually an experience. So if your organization has tried it already, but it wasn't a hit, I think you just don't give up yet, and you give it another chance. Maybe with a better learning provider, or with better in-house strategy. Second misconception around e-learning somehow, which actually has built, is cheap and easy perception. So e-learning is perceived by some as cheap and easy version of delivering training and development. Although certainly it is most cost effective than face-to-face training, that can be said, but it is not as complex as people imagine it to be, and it is not that complex even to set up. All you need is a firm strategy. You need to know your target audience, and then you will be amazed to know that it comes with unique benefits that in many ways can be more superior to traditional classroom delivery. So cost effectiveness is obviously a more value to your money, and it enhances return on investment that organization is doing. But the misconception that it is something which we can add, it's an easy alternative to what other training brings to the organization. That is something which I've found not to be that useful in the industry. Third, and the most important aspect over here, which I would like to mention, is lack of awareness of the benefits of e-learning. So most of the organizations, people, who are responsible for learning and development, devising those strategies, they are not aware of what e-learning can offer them. What would be the benefits of e-learning, within that organization or in any organization. So out of a lot of benefits, there are 4 which stand out every time you go to e-learning. Every time you try to bring e-learning in, you can be assured of these 4 things that will happen to your organization and the people who are learning. So the first is accessibility. Once you bring e-learning to your organization, if you're a widespread or your geographically spread employees, your contractors, customers, whoever have the access, they can get benefit from your e-learning programs without incurring any other cost. So again, this point again, emphasizing the previous point, that it is not just about cheap and easy learning. It's a good alternative to your investments in a lot of things. So e-learning brings accessibility to your team. to your geographically spread team. And then the second benefit here is that it standardizes what you offer to your employees. So from if we are talking about an organization which has a lot of offices and a lot of people spread throughout Pakistan, so from KPK to Karachi, everyone goes through the same program without incurring a lot of travel costs, without incurring a lot of a lot of other costs. So it all depends on their willingness to learn. Then there is an important aspect which happens in e-learning. Once an e-learning program is developed and then deployed on a platform, it stays compliant to whatever standards the organization has. Obviously, in conventional methodologies of training, the training can vary from location to location, from trainer to trainer, and from learners to learners. But in e-learning, everyone gets a standard program, and it meets all the requirements and compliance of the particular organization, and it tries to deliver, the standards and the pain points that need to be addressed. And lastly, e-learning and the platform that e-learning brings in, the e-learning platforms, they now have automated career progression trees within them. So you can actually have your employees, the organizations now can actually have their employees go step by step, taking different trainings, and then moving on from level 1 to level 2 and then level 3 based on the skill sets which they need to take. And the platform, the newer platforms, the updated and upgraded platforms offer everything within sort of one kit. So organizations and the people working in organization, can get their work cut down by these facilities that e-learning brings. And that also again, reinforces the first three benefits of e-learning as well. The fourth thing that e-learning does, the fourth main misconception and the reason that why organizations are failing in e-learning is lack of e-content. So recently, 2-3 years ago, when I was in Karachi and I spoke with a lot of organizations, every organization had a state-of-the-art LMS. Every organization had LMS, a learning platform that they had invested so much in either developing their own LMS or getting an LMS from a third party, which was one of the best LMS providers worldwide. But they lacked the content to fill their LMS. Having a state-of-the-art learning material without e-content is obviously not something that will help your organization in the end, because there is nothing on the platform for your learners to see. So I was amazed to see that wherever I went, almost 8 to 9 out of 10 organizations, they had that platform. They had everything ready, but they were lacking in the content. So if organizations lack the content, that is not going to help, obviously. So with the support of an e-learning development provider, organizations can easily repurpose the classroom resources into excellent e-content. And then they can deploy that content on their platform. And then again, they can give access to their learners nationwide for learners to see and learn and understand, and then, make better use of the platforms. And this is again, one of the reasons that a lot of organizations were put off by e-learning, because they invested so much on the platform without getting the content in. And once the content was not there, a lot of things, it became a sort of burden on the organization, because it was or it took their most of the efforts or the costs within the organization. So moving forward, there are just two things which I would like to add, and then we will move on to the question and answers. So another major reason of failing in e-learning is not understanding our online learners. So, this these are changing times, technology and online world that we live in has fundamentally changed the way that many people seek and consume information today. And Generation X were born with the internet, and they don't know life without internet, honestly. So maybe there may be a few in organization who are fearful or resistant of change. The ever increasing majority of it will be expecting online learning. because online learning gives, the newer generation the freedom to learn at their own pace. It motivates people to learn and learn at their own time, learn with their own aptitude, learn with their own attitude, and then transform, their whole learning experience, which actually makes them change. The modern day learner expects on demand learning, easy to access, search and view information that is delivered practically, quickly, and straight to the point, and without the need of fluff, team games, and icebreakers. So the organizations, not understanding what their learners want or what their online learners want, usually develop content which doesn't sit well with the learners, and ultimately ends the excitement and the hype created by e-learning within their organization, again pushing them towards a bad experience, which ultimately kills the bird in the over there. So last but not the least is that at times organizations, or people in the organization, they just think that learning or bringing new innovations or creativity or new things into the learning department is just L&D team's job. It's, if they are bringing in something, they can they'll be happy to take it on, or they'll do it just for the sake of doing it. But in reality, this is not just L&D's job. Learning, e-learning is here to stay, and e-learning is revolutionizing the way trainings are conducted. E-learning obviously is never going to replace any conventional methodology. It is going to update that, and it is going to be a hybrid of e-learning and instructor-led training that will go on. Recently, a research published in Forbes has pointed out that by 2027, 70% of learning will be switched to e-learning. And that research was not just confined to United States, but to United States, Europe, Australasia region, and Asia Pacific region. So that shows that e-learning is going to stay, and e-learning is going to take up more and more space in near future, combined with what other methodologies are. So at the end of the day, it's not just about learning and development department within an organization. It's about everyone. So as our markets and customer needs change at an increasingly rapid rate, online learning is one of the fastest, most cost-effective and efficient way to ensure that all employees are equipped with the capability of multitask, adapt, upskill, and conduct their life's best work for the benefit of business survival. Without a certainly talented workforce, there is no business. So these are the 6 misconceptions, or the or the 6 big reasons why organizations yet are struggling to adapt to e-learning.
Thank you, Ilhan. And we've heard so much of these misconceptions in the last year. You're so right. You put it all in a nutshell beautifully. Yasir has a very valid question. He says, how does e-learning manage the social aspect of face-to-face learning methodology? Recent research, especially due to the extended work from home situations, have shown that distant working and learning are creating emotional problems. What techniques are coming up to cater to such issues?
Yes, rightly put, Yasser. But in my last point, I mentioned that obviously it's not that e-learning is going to replace everything or replace instructor-led training. This is also one of the biggest things that I have seen in the market. That when we are going to organizations or we are meeting, trainers, they think that e-learning is cannibalizing what they are doing, but that's not the case. Obviously, e-learning along with instructor-led training, hybrid of these two obviously is going to stay in the market for a longer period of time. Although a lot of things are moving towards e-learning, which are standard and which happen in an organization day to day. So the emotional effect is in the face-to-face interaction obviously is missing at the moment. But again, as I mentioned, that e-learning is evolving itself. And as a whole, if we even see 5 years in the past, 2015, 16, we used to design courses with very little interactivity. But now there is a lot of interactivity involved as the tools around e-learning are also building. The organizations are also evolving, and even the creators of the tools are learning with everyday experience. Technology is changing by the second now. And the new techniques of interaction are coming in. We can build whole new simulations of a simulated program within our authoring tool, and let users uh, play that game or simulation even in groups, and then learn and within a group in an organization. And there are certain elements involved where they can interact with each other. But yes, this is a challenge, and uh, we are hopeful of solving this one day as well, because things are moving fastly, rapidly, and e-learning might come up with a solution of this very, very quickly.
Thank you. Kamran, over to you. You have a question?
Yes, Shireen, I do. Ilhan certainly has engaged my mind, particularly with regards to e-learning. And my question to him would be push and pull. Now, when we talk about e-learning, I get a sense that it's a lot to do with the push part, because you mentioned that LMS has been installed by several organizations that made huge investments, but what they're lacking is content. Now, content itself is in competition with what's world class and across the internet. And I
Yes.
wanted to learn from you and understand that today, with access via Google, for instance, if I want to learn something, I just search that and I find access to YouTube channels, Vimeo, as well as a lot of PDFs are now available, a lot of ebooks are now available. So if learning is demand led as opposed to organizations saying you must do this, you must do this, here is the content, you must have to be. Now, my question was push pull. How does one work on that? And should it not be designed in such a way that it's made attractive and also free in terms of how to access what and to what level?
Absolutely, absolutely. And again, that was the point which I did discuss, that it is our job to make the content more engaging and more interesting. And this is what has happened in last 5 years, with new updations and upgradations coming in, multiple authoring tools. And yes, you can Google everything nowadays. There is that a joke that people say, that if you have forgotten what you had for for breakfast, just Google it and it might tell you. So so the thing is that yes, obviously you can type in anything, and a lot of articles, ebooks, and videos from YouTube are available. But again, the point is that they are not interactive, they are not state of the art, they are not world class, they are not vetted properly. Obviously, you can go on Amazon and buy ebooks, you can go on Amazon Audible. I myself like to hear a few books when I'm driving, so that can happen as well. But again, it's passive way of learning. E-learning is more shifting or transforming towards active learning, where learners get to interact with screens, where learners get to play different games, and then the tool at the back end, the algorithms on the back end, they try to assess the personality, if it's a leadership thing, if it's something else. So learners basically try to play, adapt, and then at the same time try to learn in a fun and engaging way. But if you Google things and if you see videos, these interactivities, the active part, the fun and engaging part, in my opinion, is missing. As I was saying, that Generation X is born in this era, and they want to, they cannot live without internet. So they want to learn at their own pace.
And and following from this, the question that I wanted to ask you again was that gaming culture is on the rise, and
Yes.
a lot of games that are entertaining have engaged a lot of people, and they're making millions of dollars as a result. Question
Yeah.
was that the gaming methodology and philosophy translated into learning programs, if they become available open source, and of course one pays for it, could organizations not actually subscribe to those kinds of interactive and engaging elements where there's collaboration, cooperation, competition, and feedback, how well you're doing in a
Yes.
particular dimension? Now, I was just wondering that should the organization build something that could already be done by so many young people developing softwares and coding and programs? तो ये मेरा एक जानना था कि how one should one pursue this? I mean, for example, if I want my kid to read a book, should I be writing the book or should I refer him to that book? So ये भी एक सिलसिला था कि should organizations focus on developing content or searching the content and making it accessible to employees?
बिल्कुल सही. So again, an interesting point and approach. So gamification has become a big part of e-learning in past 3 or 4 years. Now, actually, as I was mentioning, that there are we ourselves have developed something for UNDP where a learner goes through a 20 minutes game, and it's a game that a learner plays. He has to collect some badges while probing into 3 or 4 UNDP missions, and at the end, when we ask them what UNDP is, they know what UNDP is. When we ask them when it was started, they know it. What was the mission? They know it. What are sustainable development goals? They know it without actually knowing that they are learning all these things while they are playing that game. So obviously, gamification part in e-learning is enhancing, the overall texture and the overall concept of e-learning. It's making e-learning more relevant. It's making e-learning more, compatible with what organizations need to do. And the second part of the question is that should organizations be searching content or that book thing that you have mentioned? So yes, but again, organizations' job is to devise strategies that actually help their employees or help their people to learn more and to go through the ladder, and and they want to make their organization or the people in their organization more compatible or more competent in this ever growing industry and ever growing challenging and competitive economy. But again, when a trainer obviously comes in and brings the content, the organizations have so much content within their organization that is parked, that is shelved, the content that they didn't even know that can be reused or repurposed. So that is where e-learning plays more important role, because once we change that content into an e-course, into a game, it stays in the organization in a useful manner instead of just a PPT which is saved in an L&D manager's laptop or in an external hard drive maybe. So that's the difference that e-learning ultimately brings and will be bringing, inshallah, in our industry. I have tried to work with a lot of companies and bring in a lot of change to the existing market in Pakistan. And inshallah, I'm hopeful that a lot of changes will come, and e-learning ultimately will play a useful role in overall development of our L&D industry, inshallah.
Thank you, Ilhan. We have a statement and 2 questions from Anam in our audience. First, her statement is, I believe that education sector is compromised and the pandemic made it worse.
Yes.
Then her questions to you are, what recommendations can you give to expand learning in universities? And what is the government's role and how can they play the role in e-learning?
Yes, government's role, I think I shouldn't go towards that side. but ultimately, my recommendation for e-learning in universities is that I have seen, people around me obviously not going to universities and taking their classes on Zoom while they doze off, and the teacher keeps on giving lectures or keeps on telling what the teacher wants to tell, and people over here, they're playing games or they're watching some videos, texting, WhatsApp and everything. So obviously there is this misconception, the biggest misconception since COVID came in, that a meeting on Zoom is a synonym of e-learning. What we are doing now is not e-learning, obviously. So people think that meeting on Zoom is also e-learning. So universities have actually done that in Pakistan, and Anam is absolutely right that pandemic has actually made made overall education sector more compromised and dull, because a lot of people have not actually, a lot of students actually have suffered from this, and they were not able to grasp the knowledge. They didn't go to the university, but they were not able to learn anything on Zoom as well. So obviously the recommendation would be actually to develop an e-learning platform that is true in its essence, which can actually report and track all the ongoing activities of different classes, of different programs, of all the students. And this is possible in very, very cost-effective ways, honestly. It's possible, it can be done. Unfortunately, universities have not looked at this side, despite obviously us going to universities and pitching a lot of things, but obviously it was not in their priority at the moment. So many people didn't go for this, but this pandemic gave universities and our education system as a whole an opportunity to transform to a much better and much more sound way of education. The education sector could have transformed itself to something better, but we missed that opportunity. The opportunity is still there or to be grabbed, but if the instructions come from the government of Pakistan and they take more interest in how they can actually improve the outcome of education, how they can actually improve, uniform curriculum is here. That is a good thing, but how to implement it in a good way, how to increase the accessibility to those schools that are in the remote areas as well. So e-learning definitely is the way to go about that.
Thank you so much, Ilhan. We've sadly come to the end of the session. There, I'm sure I've got lots of questions. मैंने कहा दूसरों को बोल लेने दे, but मेरा तो main ये चीज़ है कि where is the passion and the urge to learn gone? हम अब आते हैं कि जी मजे कराओ, मुझे मजे कराओ, बस मुझे engage रखो. अरे भाई आपका ख्वाब वो पढ़ने का, इल्म हासिल करने का, वो किधर मर गया, वो किधर दफन हो गया. But that's a different philosophical debate. I hand over to Kamran. Kamran, please, could you give a gist of the two speakers so that we can have a summary of the day?
Thank you very much, Shireen, for giving me this platform. On behalf of TRG, I would first like to thank Faisal and also Ilhan for enlightening us with the technological wave that we are into right now, and we are swimming in it. Most of us, I think, are confused and are half drowning. And today, with the misconceptions that were brought forward and clarified, particularly by Ilhan and also by Faisal, I think what we have now is this awareness that unless we take advantage of this opportunity, we'll be left behind and the world would have gone way, way ahead. And I feel that Trainers Resource Group, which essentially is an experience where we want learners and trainers and teachers to come on this platform and share their insights and best practices. In that context, I think for the two to have made the time for our audience, we are very, very grateful. And frankly, you have left us with more questions than answers. Shireen, you're absolutely right. And I feel that follow-up sessions at some point ought to be taken so that we can have more individuals contributing and learning from this particular area, particularly organizations that employ large numbers of people and can benefit from not only fintech, but also from the learning aspect that you were talking about. And I think our techie friends can also be focusing on Shireen's question कि ये भूख और प्यास किधर चली गई कि हम लोगों को खेल खिला खिला के आगे बढ़ रहे. I think that is something that the techies have to work out. How can that interest also be generated amongst the learners? So thank you very much, Faisal and Ilhan, for being with us and expending of your time, which is precious. And I'm very grateful that those who attended in the Zoom meeting and are also eyeball, as Umair puts it, on our Facebook page, TRG's Facebook page. I hope you also gained much. And Shireen, over to you. Thanks so much for giving me the opportunity
Thanks.
to be part of this.
Thank you, Kamran.
Kamran. Thank you, Shireen. And it was a pleasure. And I hope we can do this again, inshallah.
Yes, lovely. Thank you. And also to the 15 people on TRG Facebook and another 20 people on our social pages. We are very grateful to the Zoom audience and those as well. Please stay with us. Remember, last Thursday of every month, we get together. बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया सबने आपने time निकाला, and to our dear speakers as well. Thank you, Ji, and take care. Stay safe. Allah Hafiz.
Hafiz.
Thank you, Torque, for doing this for us. Allah Hafiz.
Thank you, Talk. Thank you, KSBL.
Thank you, Rehan. Thank you, KSBL.
We'll be back to KSBL next month, Rehan bhai.
Yes, we would love to have you here. Umair bhai, मिलें, बहुत दिल कर रहा है आपसे मिलने का भी.
Ugly gathering physical होगी inshallah March.
Inshallah. पहले मिलेंगे
Looking
inshallah.
forward to seeing you all. See ya. Thank you.
Inshallah, inshallah.
I'm going to end the meeting now. Go away, everybody.